Here we are at Hilltop, and I'm with John Nicholson, and
Hello.
and he's got a nice office here. We're going to take a peek at this
Yeah.
office first, and you actually have two studios in this facility, right?
I do have two studios,
Yeah.
and this is my office, and these are a few of the CDs I've done for people. I produce a lot of independent artists, and they come out here and make albums and so forth. And I get together the band, the studio guys, the singers, everything that we do, and put together CDs for them. So these are just a few of the things I've done. We get many of this kind of thing, and then honestly, it's our bread and butter. So I hope they keep coming like that, and we keep making CDs for everybody. But these are just a few. Just finished one a couple days ago for a Canadian artist, and got more coming.
Cool,
So
that's
anyway,
good.
This is where it all happens on the phone anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't you take us down? Look at the.
Yeah.
So you want to go to A?
Yeah, we'll go
Okay,
downstairs.
okay.
Well, right now we're on the top floor. Hilltop is a two-story building. That's
Okay.
why the reason it's called a hilltop. We're actually built into a hillside.
Okay.
So we're actually going to go downstairs. All right, come on downstairs. I'll show you a couple of interesting things in the staircase anyway.
Yeah.
Here's a custom-made carpet that was made back, I think, in the late 70s. Somebody custom-made this shag carpet with the name on it and all, and Billy Linneman got this done back in the day when he owned the studio with his dad Jack. But anyway, this has been hanging on the wall here for a long time. And as we go down, I want you to take a look at the next thing that's interesting in the staircase. Is the world's largest Shure 55S.
Yes.
I've actually been wanting to stick a real microphone inside that and put that in front of the singer and say something like, "Hey, if you really want the big sound, there it is." You know?
Right.
And this is the lobby of the what we call the A room, which is
Okay.
our tracking studio. This
Okay.
is where the musicians obviously sit and talk between the songs and things like that in the break room. And this is, of course, the lobby or the lounge part of that. This is the lobby. This would be where they would enter the outside parking lot to the A studio in here. Again, it's just kind of a loading area, but drummers have been wanting me to put drums in here.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet, but I imagine it would be a pretty loud rock and roll sounding drum.
Right.
But we're going to try that one of these days, and hopefully the neighbors wouldn't complain too much. But down this way, we have, this is really just the restrooms and things, and those behind those doors are actually where guys would put their amplifiers and stuff, for isolation rooms. And so we have one for the basically steel guitar guy, one for the electric guitar guys. And so they would put their amps in there, and then the wires feed through the walls to the studio room.
Okay.
All right. These are the doors leading into the studio. And here's the studio.
Yes.
And the studio, other than just cosmetics, hasn't really changed much, even since the late 60s. The walls are kind of the same. The decor did change. When I bought it in 1994, I put the gray fabric and things like that up. But the basic design of the studio is still the same as it always was. Jack Linneman built the studio, and he did all the acoustic design to it. And then when I came along later, I built this drum room, enclosed the drum room, because back in the early days, these walls right here would have only been a partition, if you will, about this high. And so it was very open. So we sealed the drums up so we could have isolation. And like I said, back there with the amp rooms where we saw earlier is also a Leslie room for a B3 organ. It's let's say a C3 organ.
Okay. Yeah.
And anyway, that's where the Leslie stays. Many keyboard players come in and say, "Hey, where's the Leslie cabinet?" And I said, "Oh, it's hidden back in an isolation room." So we keep all the amps and stuff behind the wall. Of course, in the early days, everything was out here. The amps were sitting around, and everything was just live and loud. And it was good, but when we got into doing a lot of overdubbing, obviously we had to have more isolation, so everybody kind of got
Right.
But I remember, many years of amplifiers would sit on these benches here. This is what this was originally designed for. You can kind of see it was a great place to put an amp. And they would all have their amps there.
So you use a lot of wood in here too. That's
a lot of wood.
I always love the sound of wood for some reason. I don't know what it is. I think maybe the sound transfers to
I
it.
agree. It makes for a good. We've got a lot of string sessions here actually. even though it's not a very ambient room, it's more of a dry room. The sound is really nice, and we cut, of course, a lot of bluegrass groups and stuff where they utilize the room itself for a sound. And it's amazing how good Hilltop sounds here to not be a large ambient sounding room, but it does. It's a nice, clean sounding room. We have a couple isolation rooms there. Typically, acoustic guitar guy or fiddle guy goes in here, and we have room over here for a vocalist to sing along with the band.
Let me get it. Look at the. It's come out a little bit dark, but that'll work.
Yeah.
All right.
Now we'll go into the control room.
So you say Jack built this in the 60s?
He did. In 1963, Hilltop opened.
Okay.
And of course, he was an engineer at Starday King, which is actually right down the road.
Right. I actually stopped by and took some pictures there.
But anyway, here's our control room for the Studio A. And this is an SSL console. It's a model 9000J, which there's several of these around town. And we like this console. We've had it for about 3 years. Previous to this console, there were Neve consoles. Had a Quad 8 console, and then really and also Dynamic. But before those, actually was homemade consoles. Jack would make the boards.
Okay.
And we had. When I started, there was a homemade console in here that Jack built, and before I started here, he had built yet another homemade console before that one.
Wow.
Great old boards. I mean, they were all discreet, and we used them for many years until we finally got into a name brand, if you will, buying somebody else's console.
Yeah. Well, do you want to walk up to the B room?
Yeah,
real
let's
quick?
go check it out.
Yeah. It's a beautiful studio.
Oh, thank you. We have one more little room here, too.
Okay.
I call this the fish tank.
Okay.
And that's just a little ISO room that we use when we have the studio full of people. We just need one more place to go. And the reason I call it the fish tank, it's got this little window in the front that you look through to see the producer.
Yeah.
It looks like a fish tank from the outside there. So
it's like a pretty extreme isolation in there.
It is extreme isolation, very dead. It actually makes a good voiceover room. You can see it's got all the,
dimmer, all the things.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool.
Okay. Here's our B room lobby. Of course, we
Okay.
come in from the outside there, and there's a. We're kind of out in the country, so there's just woods around us everywhere, and there's a big deck outside with a swing and all that stuff, and we can take a look at that. But once you come in this door, this is on the top floor now, kind of up on top of the hill, and down this way would be just restrooms and things like that.
Okay.
And then we come in here, and this is the B studio. And this room too is acoustically designed by Jack.
Okay.
As you can see, there's not any parallel walls, and I always tell people all the walls look kind of weird, don't they? Because they're angled and they got all this stuff. Well, that's all about design, obviously.
Right.
Acoustically designed. It's a great sounding mix room. Ron Snake Reynolds worked up here quite often, and he always told me that it was one of the best mix rooms to him in town. So I always trusted what Snake said.
Yeah.
But I agree. Things that we mix do sound pretty good in cars and home and everything. But what we have in here is just, again, a controller, Pro Tools controller C24. Like I said, used to, this was a wall-to-wall Neve console, and now it's this. But this is what today's world is. And so we use Pro Tools, and we have analog preamps. Some of them are actually downstairs right now, but typically we do vocal overdubs in these booths, and we have the analog preamps like Focusrite and Avalon, and we got a couple more downstairs that we bring up here if we need them. But that's pretty much what this room does today, just kind of an overdub mix room.
You're busy man.
It's funny is the phone never rings until you don't need it to. Hello? Anyway, that's what this room does. And originally this room, when I first started working here with Jack in 1980, 81, there was actually a disc cutting lathe right in here behind this little area here. There was an old Scully lathe. And so not only did they mix in here, they did mastering and cut lacquers in here. So that used to be here. So I learned how to do that. And actually for 1 year, because I knew how to cut lacquers, I took Denny Purcell's job briefly over at Woodland when he went to build disc I forgot the name of this place. Master.
Yeah,
Anyway, I can't think.
Yeah.
Georgetown Masters.
yeah, Georgetown. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, Glenn Snoddy hired me to come down there and
Okay.
cut lacquers for a
Okay.
while.
Okay.
And then I did that for about a year, but I kind of missed at that point recording with musicians and singers. I was really a recording engineer. And I got offered to come back to Hilltop and do that all the time. So anyway, I've been here ever since, which
Right.
is almost 40 years.